Hare Krishna and Namaste. This is Poonam from Sri Shankarlal Sundarbai SHASUN Jain College, and along with Disha Bharat, here feeling so proud to be the part of this Champions of Change for this Kargil Vijay Diwas. And I have with me...
I am Manisha from Sri Kanyaka Parameswari Arts and Science College.
I am Deepak. I am coming from Hindustan College of Arts and Science.
Today we have the distinct honor of hosting a very special guest, Major General A.V. Ramesh VSM, who has served our country with whole dedication and bravery. We welcome you, sir, and happy to be here.
Hare Krishna to all of you, and thanks to Disha Bharat for this wonderful initiative, and thank you for getting me on this kind of a platform. Hope to be of some use to you. Thank you.
So to start with, can you tell little us about your journey and what inspired you to join this Indian Army Force?
There are three ways by which I could have joined the Indian Army. One was through the National Defence Academy, which is an exam you typically take after class 11 or class 12. During my times, you could take it after class 11. Nowadays, you take it after class 12. Second was the Combined Defence Services Examination, which is taken by graduates like you. After your 3-year graduation, you take that exam. For technical graduates, which is what I was, the method of entry was to apply for the Services Selection Board interview. You face the interview, you get selected. Now, in my case, I was in NCC in school, in the Air Wing. So I had a little bit of a opportunity and exposure to the armed forces. I wanted to join the armed forces, but I did not give the NDA exam. Then after joining engineering college, I decided to give it a try. I got selected, and here I am.
That's really inspiring, sir.
How did you organize and what significant challenge you have faced?
See, Army is a way of life, firstly. You can't compare it with any other organization in the sense that anybody who joins Army, typically you say, you're wedded to the organization. Like in my case, I've spent almost 37 years in the Army. And what Army does is, apart from the training, which you initially undergo, which is supposed to be very tough, and there are multiple times during the training when you just want to give up and go back home. Notwithstanding that, during the course of your service in the organization puts you through multiple training modules or exposure to different kinds of training assignments, preparing you for the subsequent assignment. So typically in my case, if you say, the first training intervention happens sometime between 8 to 10 years of service. Then I had an opportunity to do my master's from Indian Institute of Technology, Kanpur. All of you would have heard about IIT Kanpur. So Army thereafter equipped me for higher assignments. And the next training intervention in my case happened sometime between 16 to 18 years of service, where I went to the College of Defence Management in Secunderabad. The next training intervention for me was sometime around 25-26 years of service, where I got a chance to do the National Defence College. Now, why I am explaining this to you to answer your question in particular is, you will face a lot of challenges all through your lifespan in the organization. What the organization does is to train you, give you exposure to different kinds of environment, situation, to equip you with all the skill set that you need to handle those challenges, which includes exposure to some foreign assignments. You get a chance to take delegations abroad. You go abroad to visit various armies, pick up their best practices to understand how they are operating in different environment. So in our case, training is a continuous process.
Sir, ஆர்மில வந்து நிறைய டிவிஷன் இருக்கு. அதுல வந்து நீங்க எந்த டிவிஷன்ல இருந்தீங்க? அத பத்தி கொஞ்சம் தெரிஞ்சுக்கலாமா?
Definitely, it's a very pertinent question. Army is firstly a very large organization. So it's very difficult for an average person to understand the complexity of the organization. In Army, we have three main subdivisions, I would like to call it. We have something what is called as combat arms. Okay. Then we have something what is called as combat support arms. Then the third category is services. Now I'll explain about each one of them. Combat arms are the people who are directly in combat. That is the infantry, the mechanized infantry, and the armored corps. Mechanized infantry are people who move in infantry combat vehicles. You might have heard about BMP Russian vehicles. Next one, the Armored Corps are the people who move on tanks. T-72 Ajaya. You would have heard about T-90, that is Bhishma. You must be reading it in the newspaper. Nowadays, you must have read about that Zorawar tank which is going to come, which we are planning to use in the high altitude area. They are all people from the Armored Corps. These three form part of combat arms. Then we have combat support arms. Combat support arms are people who will also be in combat, but in support of the people who are in combat. The third category or the third vertical is the services. Services are people who provide all the logistic support to the forces in the front. This could be rations. Troops require rations. You must have heard about the famous Napoleon saying, an army marches on its stomach. The equipment requires fuel, oil and lubricants. You require ammunition. So you require vehicles to move that ammunition. Ammunition has to be stocked, moved. So there are organizations which are specifically responsible for that. The vertical to which I belong to is the Corps of Electronics and Mechanical Engineers. Our job is to do the life cycle sustenance of the entire range of army equipment. Now, the difference between army and other organizations is when we buy equipment, we buy what we call as capital acquisitions. We buy them for a duration of 40 to 50 years. So what we do, we have to look after that equipment for minimum 40 to 50 years. If we have to do that, there have to be some planned interventions, which means after 6 years, we do an intervention. After 12 years, we'll do a major intervention, wherein all the assemblies will be taken out, stripped apart, overhauled, some refurbishment will happen, some reclamation will happen, give it a new lease of life, so that this equipment is maintained in a operationally fit condition at all points of time. So even after 40 years, the equipment should be good enough to be able to go and fight. That is the responsibility of my vertical, which is the life cycle sustenance, we call it. From the time an equipment is inducted till the time the equipment is phased out of service, we have to take care of that equipment for the duration of 3.5, 4.5 decades.
இப்போ இதில் ரேங்கிங்லாம் இருக்குல்ல சார், அதில் நம்ம சேரும் போது எந்த ரேங்கிங்கில் இருப்போம், அதுக்கப்புறம் ஸ்டெப் பை ஸ்டெப்பாக இதில் இருக்கும், அதை பற்றி கொஞ்சம் சொல்லுங்கள் சார்.
See, Army is a pyramidal organization. Since ours is a command-oriented army, it is a pyramidal organization. The base is, you have captains, then you have majors, then lieutenant colonels, then you come down to lesser number of colonels, which means
very long hierarchy.
Yes, the hierarchy is quite high, but I would also say it is very steep as it goes up. Typically around 30 to 35% of the lieutenant colonels will get to become colonels, and around 30 to 35% of the colonels can get to become brigadiers, which is a selection rank. Amongst the brigadiers, there is again a selection who get to become major generals. Among the major generals, again there is a selection for you to become lieutenant general. One of the lieutenant general gets to become the chief of army staff. So you have only one general at the top, right? So to repeat it very quickly for you, it is captain, major, lieutenant colonel, colonel, brigadier, major general, lieutenant general, general.
What you thought about Agnipath and how it differs from normal army?
See, Agnipath is a scheme which the government launched in June 2022. And what that scheme essentially involves is to permit individuals, that is men and women, from 17.5 years of age till 21. And the educational qualification requirement is you have to be +2, that is 10 + 2 recognized from a particular board. It could be a state board, it could be CBSE, and or it could be a diploma, a 3-year diploma, right? What happens after recruiting an Agnipath? The person is there in the organization for a duration of 4 years. Okay? The pay, perks and other things have already been announced. It starts with 30,000 a month, and then there is a 10% escalation year on year. Apart from this, there is a contribution of 9,000 he makes each month. An equivalent contribution comes from the government also, which is kept as a corpus and given to him at the end of 4 years. This comes to a total of approximately 12 lakhs. 25% of the people who are taken through the Agnipath route get a chance to stay back in the organization, right? So when a person leaves after 4 years, what does he get? A, he will get 10 to 12 lakhs. Most importantly, he has imbibed the military ethos, the camaraderie, bonhomie, and an opportunity to get trained in some of the finest institutions that we have and acquired a whole lot of skills. He is ready to get deployed in the civil street outside. What is the age at which he is coming? Let us say even you join at 21. 21 plus 4 is still 25. You are young enough to go and work outside. Today's youth, people like you, are more tech savvy and have got more exposure to technology than what people like me had back then. Your ability to learn is much better and possibly faster in terms of ability to imbibe and absorb technology. And most of the weapon systems in army today are very complex. Gone are the days of World War II or even World War I when we had bolt action rifles. Bolt action rifle is you have to cock the weapon each time before a round is fired. Then we moved to automatic, semi-automatic, automatic. Today you have night vision devices, you have night vision goggles, all kinds of imaging systems, surveillance, reconnaissance and all that. For this we require people like you who are able to imbibe, absorb technology much sooner, which means the learning curve, we have to shrink the time. So Agnipath, in my understanding, would be a huge success. We have to give it time. It's just been 2 years. Like I was explaining to earlier, 22 June, 2022 June, the scheme was launched. We are now in July of 2024, right? We have to give it some time for it to settle, stabilize and see how well it is performing. But Agnipath, in my understanding, is an excellent scheme. It gives more people opportunity to serve in the army.
சார் லாஸ்ட்டாக யங்ஸ்டர்ஸ்க்கு எதனா சொல்ல விரும்புகிறீங்க?
My message to the youngsters is what I learned during my training in the military academy. I was not a sportsman. I was not good at most of the things when it comes to physical capabilities. I realized in training that physical fitness was extremely important. There are multiple times during the training when I thought I should give up and go back home. So my message to youngsters, to sum up, is mental resilience, toughness, physical toughness.
Thank you, sir.
That's really a powerful statement, sir. The youth would like me to follow it, and you made a powerful inspiration.
You people are capable of, what could I say, infinite amount of things. You should believe in the fact that you are able to do it. And of course, you have to work hard also. Just belief won't take you to places. You have to have the belief, the mental resilience, strength, and the hard work. You will go places.
Sure, sir.
My best wishes to all of you.
Thank you, sir.